Someone says something sharp. Maybe it's a joke at your expense. Maybe it's a comment in a meeting, a jab from a relative, a question you should have been ready for, and you feel it happen. Your mind goes blank. The words you need are somewhere, but they will not come. So you smile a little too late, or you say, yeah, whatever, or you say nothing at all. The moment closes. The conversation moves on without you, and then it happens. 20 minutes later, in the car, in the shower, halfway up the stairs, the perfect reply arrives, fully formed, sharp, exactly what you should have said. It lands in your head with the cruel timing of a punchline delivered to an empty room. You probably think this means something bad about you, that you're slow, that you're awkward, that you're just not quick on your feet the way other people seem to be. But that's not what's happening. What's happening is so common that someone named it almost 250 years ago. The French philosopher Denis Diderot noticed it in himself. He left a dinner party so overwhelmed by an argument that he could only think of the perfect response once he had already walked down the staircase to leave. He called it l'esprit de l'escalier, the wit of the staircase. The spirit that only shows up on the way out, centuries before brain scans, before psychology was even a science. He had already noticed the strange truth. The best reply often arrives only after the moment, for it is gone. So why does this happen? Why does your mind go quiet at exactly the moment you most need it loud? The answer starts with a simple idea about pressure. In 1908, two researchers, Robert Yerkes and John Dodson, described the relationship between how stimulated you are and how well you perform. A little pressure helps. It sharpens you, focuses you, wakes you up. But past a certain point, more pressure does the opposite. Performance doesn't keep climbing, it falls off a cliff. Picture a hill. You walk up, getting better and better until you reach the top. And then the ground drops away on the other side. That drop is where the blank stare lives. Here is the part that matters. A sudden social hit, an insult, a challenge, 100 eyes turning toward you pushes you straight over that edge. Your body doesn't always know the difference between a clever rival and a physical threat. It just registers danger, and it responds the only way it knows how. In a fraction of a second, your nervous system floods with stress chemicals. Your heart rate climbs, your attention narrows, and something specific happens inside your head. The part of your brain you most need right now starts to go quiet. That part is called the prefrontal cortex. It sits right behind your forehead, and it's the closest thing you have to a control center for thinking. It handles reasoning, planning, holding several ideas at once, and pulling exactly the right word out of a sea of options. A clever comeback is one of the most demanding things this region ever does. It has to track what was said, search your memory, build a response, judge whether it's funny or too far, and deliver it all in under a second. The neuroscientist Amy Arnsten at Yale has spent years studying what stress does to this region. Her research points to something almost unfair. The prefrontal cortex can be unusually fragile under pressure. Even mild, ordinary stress may rapidly weaken it. The same stress chemicals that help your muscles run faster can do the opposite to your thinking brain. They turn the volume down on the exact machinery a perfect reply depends on. So in the moment that matters, you are not failing to think. You are being quietly locked out of the room where thinking happens. There's another piece to this. Researchers who study what they call working memory, the small mental workspace where you hold and juggle information for a few seconds, have shown how limited that space really is. You can only keep a handful of things active at once. And when stress hits, that space can shrink even further. The psychologist C.N. Bylock, who studies why people choke under pressure, describes how stress can eat up the very working memory a task requires. The harder you try, the more of that space the trying itself consumes, which means the moment you most want to be brilliant is often the moment you have the least room to be. Now put it all together and watch it happen in a real scene. You're in a meeting. Someone questions your idea in front of everyone. Almost instantly, your body treats it as a threat. Stress chemicals release. Your prefrontal cortex dims. Your working memory cluttered with noise. Your own heartbeat, the worry about how you look, the pressure of the silence. There is no room left for a sharp answer. So you nod. You mumble something safe. You get through it. Then the meeting ends. You walk back to your desk. The danger is gone. And as your nervous system settles, the lights come back on. Your prefrontal cortex reboots. Your working memory clears. And into that newly empty space, the perfect reply finally loads. 3 flights of stairs too late. This is where the twist lives. The late reply is not a sign that your mind is broken. It may be proof that your mind is working exactly as it should. Think about what that delayed comeback actually tells you. It tells you the words were always there. The wit was always there. The intelligence was always there. None of it was missing. It was simply waiting for the one condition it needed to appear. Safety. Your brain refused to spend its sharpest resources while it believed you were under attack. The reply didn't come late because you were dull. It came late because your nervous system was doing its job, protecting you first and impressing people second. The staircase wit isn't your weakness. It's the receipt that shows the machinery was intact the whole time. And yet it stings more now than it once did. Why? Because modern life has quietly raised the stakes of every reply. You don't just fumble in person anymore. You freeze in group chats where everyone can see you went quiet. You blank in comment sections where a sharper stranger gets the laugh you wanted. You replay a moment from a video call while the next notification is already buzzing. The psychologist Thomas Gilovich described something he called the spotlight effect. Your deep tendency to overestimate how much other people notice your flaws. You feel like the whole room clocked your awkward pause. Most of them didn't. They were too busy worrying about their own. But the deeper trap is this. Online, you can edit, you can delete the message and rewrite it. You can take an hour to craft the perfect response and post it like it came instantly. So you start to believe that quick, flawless replies are normal, that everyone else is firing them off in real time. They're not. They're using the same staircase you are. They just hide the stairs. So the next time someone says something sharp and your mind goes blank, try to remember what the silence actually means. It doesn't mean you're slow. It may simply mean your brain pulled your sharpest thinking offline to keep you safe, the way it was built to. The perfect reply isn't lost. It's loading. And when it finally arrives in the car, in the shower, halfway up the stairs, that's not your failure echoing back at you. That's your mind finally safe, switching the lights back on.